Many men over 40 encounter a reality in the dating world that is rarely discussed openly. The issue is not that it is difficult to understand, but that speaking about it honestly often means addressing observations that society prefers to avoid or soften until they lose their practical value. The central observation is this: a significant number of single women in their 50s who express a desire for a relationship may not truly be positioned to build one. Not because of their age or physical appearance, but because years of established habits, expectations, and perspectives can make the kind of compromise and cooperation required for a committed relationship extremely difficult. This is not intended as criticism. Rather, it is an attempt to describe what many men experience while dating later in life. Many mature men enter the dating landscape genuinely seeking a meaningful relationship. They are not necessarily looking for younger partners, nor are they driven by unrealistic fantasies. Instead, they often have a clearer understanding of themselves and what they want than they did when they were younger. Yet many eventually come to feel that the emotional energy, time, and effort required to pursue relationships are not producing results that justify the emotional investment. For men who have explored the post-50 dating landscape and come away puzzled or disappointed, understanding these dynamics can provide useful perspective. The goal is not to encourage resentment or cynicism, but to help explain why certain patterns appear repeatedly and why many promising connections fail to develop into lasting partnerships. In this video we will explore 7 reasons why the dating market after 50 often falls short of expectations and how men who understand these realities can make wiser decisions about their relationships and their future. Number 1. The market position she is operating from has not updated to match her actual market position. One challenge some men encounter in the post-50 dating world is meeting women whose expectations seem rooted in a much earlier stage of life. The issue is not dishonesty or bad intentions, but rather a disconnect between how they view their current dating prospects and the realities of where they stand today. Many women formed their understanding of their desirability and dating options when they were much younger. During their 20s, they often received significant attention from a wide range of men, including highly accomplished and successful ones. At that stage, their expectations may have been entirely reasonable because the dating market was responding to them differently. As the years pass, however, circumstances change for everyone. Ideally, people periodically reassess what they seek in a partner and how they themselves fit into the dating landscape. Yet some individuals never fully make that adjustment. Cultural messages often reinforce the belief that changing one's expectations is a sign of settling or undervaluing oneself rather than simply recognizing that priorities and opportunities evolve over time. As a result, some women continue to evaluate potential partners according to standards established decades earlier. Men who are stable, dependable, emotionally mature, and genuinely interested in commitment may be overlooked, not because they lack value, but because they are being compared against expectations formed under very different conditions. The men who encounter this situation often sense something is off, even if they cannot immediately explain it. They may feel that their character, accomplishments, and willingness to build a meaningful relationship are not being judged on their own merits. Instead, they are measured against a benchmark that no longer reflects present realities, leaving them feeling unfairly dismissed despite having much to offer. 2. Emphasizing achievements instead of connection. Another pattern some men notice is that certain women introduce themselves primarily through their accomplishments. Conversations may focus heavily on career success, financial stability, property ownership, retirement savings, and other indicators of professional achievement. These accomplishments are valuable and deserve respect. However, for many established men in their 50s and beyond, financial security is not what they are seeking from a partner. They have already spent years building careers, acquiring assets, and creating stable lives for themselves. What many of these men say they desire most at this stage is not another set of credentials. They are looking for companionship, emotional comfort, mutual support, and a relationship that adds warmth and peace to their lives. They want to feel appreciated for who they are as individuals rather than for what they own or earn. When a woman emphasizes her achievements as her primary selling points, some men interpret this as a signal that she views relationships through a practical or transactional lens. It can create the impression that success, status, and financial standing are the main criteria by which partners are evaluated. Men who have accumulated life experience often become highly sensitive to the difference between being valued as a person and being valued for what they can provide. Consequently, when credentials dominate a self-introduction, they may wonder whether deeper qualities, such as kindness, loyalty, emotional availability, and genuine affection, are receiving enough emphasis. For these men, the most attractive qualities are often not found on a resume. They are found in character, companionship, and the ability to create a meaningful partnership built on mutual appreciation rather than a comparison of achievements. 3. He sees the story behind her circumstances. A man in his 50s entering the dating world has typically experienced major life events. He may have gone through a divorce, endured a difficult long-term relationship, or watched friends struggle in marriages that brought more hardship than fulfillment. Because of these experiences, he is no longer idealistic about relationships. He understands both their rewards and their potential costs. Having learned difficult lessons, he is cautious about repeating past mistakes. When he meets a single woman in her 50s, he is not only getting to know her as she is today. He is also observing the life journey that brought her to this point. Consciously or unconsciously, he examines that history for clues about whether building a future together would be wise. What often concerns him is not the fact that she has been divorced. Divorce alone reveals very little. Many good people leave marriages that simply could not work. What matters more is how she talks about that experience. Does she acknowledge her own role in what happened, or does she describe herself solely as the victim of someone else's failures? Does she demonstrate self-awareness, or does every past relationship seem to have ended because others disappointed her? Having heard countless versions of similar stories over the years, he knows that how someone explains a failed relationship often reveals more about their character than about the relationship itself. If a woman consistently describes a lifetime of men who failed to meet her expectations, he may wonder what that pattern suggests about the future. He also pays attention to how she speaks about current dating experiences, the standards she sets, and the qualities she seeks in a partner. He evaluates whether her expectations are realistic and compatible with the actual dating landscape or whether they reflect an idealized partner who rarely exists. Drawing on decades of experience, he interprets these signals carefully. In many cases, he quietly concludes that certain patterns appear deeply ingrained and that the effort required to navigate them is greater than he wishes to invest at this stage of life. His decision is often labeled as avoidance, but from his perspective, it is simply informed judgment. 4. She wants what he offers but is not offering what he needs. Strong relationships are not built on identical contributions. Rather, they thrive when both people genuinely care about each other's well-being and make meaningful efforts to improve one another's lives. Healthy partnerships are grounded in reciprocity, where both individuals give and receive in ways that feel balanced and supportive. However, some men over 50 encounter situations where that balance seems absent. They quickly notice that a woman has a very clear picture of what she wants from a partner. She may desire emotional availability, financial stability, dependability, support, companionship, and security. These are reasonable expectations and valid needs. The issue is not what she seeks. The concern arises when there is little discussion of what she intends to contribute in return. Many men at this stage of life want something equally important: peace. They desire a relationship that brings comfort, stability, and warmth rather than stress and ongoing emotional management. They want to feel appreciated for who they are, not merely valued for what they can provide. They want their commitment to be met with equal respect and seriousness. Yet some men feel these needs are treated as secondary. Instead of being recognized as legitimate relationship requirements, they are viewed as conditions that a man must satisfy before he can be considered worthy of the partnership being offered. As a result, the interaction becomes centered on whether he measures up to her standards rather than whether both people are genuinely compatible. Experienced men notice this imbalance, whether immediately or gradually. Having already learned the emotional cost of one-sided relationships, they are often reluctant to commit to a dynamic that appears unequal from the outset. 5. the competition he is facing is not other men his age. One aspect of dating after 50 that is rarely discussed openly is that some successful men find their dating options expanding rather than shrinking. A man in his 50s who is financially secure, emotionally mature, physically healthy, and confident often occupies a different position in the dating market than he did in his younger years. Unlike when he was 25, he may now attract interest from women across a broader age range. Women in their late 30s and 40s are often drawn to stability, life experience, and the confidence that comes from knowing oneself. As a result, he is not limited to dating women his own age. This expanded range of options can influence how he evaluates potential relationships. While younger partners do not automatically lead to better outcomes, the additional choices allow him to compare opportunities rather than assuming that women in his age group are his only realistic option. Consequently, some women in their 50s who wonder where all the desirable men have gone may be overlooking the fact that those men have simply widened their dating horizons. The men who once seemed like natural matches have not vanished. They have reassessed their opportunities and chosen paths they believe are more likely to provide the kind of relationship they seek. This is not necessarily a matter of fairness or unfairness. It reflects the realities of supply, demand, and personal choice. Women who understand these dynamics and adapt accordingly may navigate the dating environment more effectively than those who remain focused on how they believe things should work. 6. She has mistaken his availability for his desperation. Many men over 50 encounter a particular attitude in dating that they recognize quickly, even if they do not always have words for it. Some women assume that a man's interest indicates a lack of alternatives. Instead of viewing his attention as genuine attraction, they interpret it as evidence that he has limited options. This mindset often creates a recognizable pattern. She remains engaged enough to keep the connection alive but not invested enough to build something meaningful. She continues evaluating him while leaving emotional distance in place, waiting to see whether a more attractive opportunity appears. His reliability and consistency are treated as expectations rather than appreciated qualities. A confident man usually recognizes this dynamic quickly. He can tell the difference between sincere interest and being kept as a backup option. When he senses that he is being managed rather than genuinely chosen, he often responds calmly by stepping away. He does not see a need to prove his worth to someone who remains unconvinced of it. Ironically, this often creates the very outcome the woman hoped to avoid. The man she was cautiously evaluating leaves, demonstrating the confidence, self-respect, and decisiveness that she may have been looking for all along. By the time she realizes his value, however, the opportunity has often passed. Men who feel they were treated as temporary options rarely return to seek reconsideration.